Sometimes life just punches you in the gut. You lose someone you love. Your plans fall apart, or things happen that just don't make any sense at all. And in those moments, you might ask the one question almost all of us do. Why? Why did this happen? What did I do to deserve this? Was there a reason? Or was it just some cruel accident of the universe? If you've ever asked that, you're not alone. I've been there too, sitting in the middle of the chaos, looking for something, anything, that could make sense of the mess. We've all heard the phrase, everything happens for a reason. And let's be honest, sometimes it sounds comforting, but other times it can feel like the biggest lie someone could say to you. So, does everything really happen for a reason? According to Buddhist wisdom, the answer is both yes and no. Not in the way we usually think, not as some fixed destiny or divine plan, but as something far more grounded, and in many ways, even more empowering. In this video, we're going to explore what Buddhism really says about why things happen, how to make sense of suffering, how karma actually works, and how you can turn even the most painful experiences into something meaningful. We all go through things. We didn't ask for moments that feel unfair, unexpected, and sometimes unbearable. Maybe you lost a job you worked hard for, or someone walked away when you needed them most. Maybe your whole life shifted in a way you never saw coming, and you're still trying to make sense of it. When those things happen, the idea that everything happens for a reason can feel confusing, because we want the reason to be clear, instant, and make us feel better right away. But life doesn't always give us the answers on our timeline, does it? That's where Buddhist wisdom can help, not because it offers some magical fix, but because it gives us something far more valuable, a new way to see. Buddhism teaches us that pain isn't random, that our struggles aren't punishments, and that every moment, no matter how hard, carries something inside it that can transform us, if we're willing to see it. In this video, we're going to talk about how Buddhist teachings help us understand what's really going on when life falls apart, how the concept of karma has been misunderstood, and how you can start finding peace even when nothing seems to make sense. But before we go any further, if you're finding this message helpful so far, I'd really appreciate it if you like the video. It helps this message reach more people who may need it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and tap that subscribe button and activate the bell, so you never miss future insights on Buddhism and mindful living. Now, let's talk about what Buddhism actually says about why things happen. Let's be honest. When something painful happens, most of us immediately want to know why. We want a reason. We want to believe it happened for some greater purpose, something that makes the pain feel a little more bearable. But Buddhism doesn't give us a fairy tale explanation. It doesn't say everything is happening to you because of fate or punishment. Instead, it says something even more interesting, and in a way more powerful. Buddhism teaches that everything happens because of conditions, not some divine plan, not luck, not cosmic reward or revenge, but because of cause and effect. Every moment you experience joy, sorrow, love, loss, is the result of countless causes coming together. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine a flower blooming in a field. That flower didn't pop up for a reason in the way we usually think. It bloomed because the right combination of sun, soil, water, and time came together. No single thing caused it, and nothing was guaranteed. But the conditions made it possible. Life is like that too. The job you didn't get, Maybe it wasn't because you weren't good enough, but because 10 other conditions were at play, the breakup that shattered you. Maybe it wasn't to punish you, but a natural result of two people's evolving needs and unspoken pain. Buddhism calls this idea dependent origination, paticca samuppada in Pali. That's just a fancy term, meaning nothing arises on its own. Everything is connected, everything has a cause, and that includes your suffering. Pain doesn't happen to you because you're cursed. It happens because somewhere in the web of life, certain causes came together, and that pain was born. But here's the part a lot of people miss. Just as pain is born from causes, so is healing, so is peace. So is transformation. The same way certain conditions can create heartbreak, you can begin to create the conditions for clarity, strength, and wisdom. It's not about blaming yourself. It's about understanding yourself and understanding the world you're moving through. You're not being punished. You're just living in a world where everything is in motion, constantly shifting, constantly influenced by what came before. This is actually good news, because it means you're not stuck. You're not doomed to relive your pain forever, and you're not powerless. If your experience is created by causes and conditions, then you can begin to shape new ones, right here, right now. Buddhism doesn't promise that life won't hurt. It promises that you don't have to suffer needlessly, that through awareness and compassion, you can learn how to respond to life instead of just reacting to it. So the next time something painful happens, instead of asking, "Why me?" try asking, "What brought this here? And what can I learn from this?" It might just change everything. Let's clear up what karma really means. It's not what most people think. Let's talk about karma. Probably one of the most misunderstood words in the world. People toss it around like some cosmic boomerang. He hurt me, karma will get him. She cheated, karma's coming. But here's the thing, in Buddhist wisdom, karma isn't revenge. It's not some mystical punishment system waiting to smack you down. It's much more natural and much more empowering. Karma simply means action, and the results of that action. That's it. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every choice you make. It's like planting a seed. And seeds don't grow immediately, right? They take time, care, conditions. But eventually they show up, sometimes in ways we expect, and sometimes in ways we don't. That's karma. It's not about getting what you deserve. It's about understanding that everything you do, everything you think, shapes the path ahead. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who's constantly angry, always shouting, blaming, pushing people away. Eventually, they end up isolated, bitter, and resentful. Not because the universe is punishing them, but because their own actions created the conditions for that suffering. Now take someone else. They show compassion. They try to be honest. They take care of their thoughts and how they treat others. Will their life be perfect? No, but they're planting seeds of peace. And those seeds grow into something real. You see, karma isn't some magic scoreboard in the sky. It's more like gravity. It's just the way things work. And here's the powerful part. Even if you've made mistakes, even if your past is full of regrets, you can always start planting new seeds. Buddhism doesn't say you're doomed because of your past. It says the past is already done. What matters now is what you're doing in this moment. This moment right here is karma in action. If you're breathing, if you're listening, if you're reflecting, that's karma too. You're shaping your future, one thought at a time. And let's not forget something important. Karma isn't only about the big dramatic stuff. It's in the small things. The tone you use when you speak, how you treat people when no one's watching, how you speak to yourself when you're struggling. All of those choices echo. And while we can't control every outcome, we can influence the direction of our life by taking responsibility for what we feed into it. Now, some people ask, but what about the things that happened to us that we didn't cause? And that's a fair question. Buddhism doesn't say you alone create your whole reality. It says you're part of a web, a massive, interconnected stream of actions, choices, histories, and energies. Sometimes things happen because of other people's karma, sometimes because of generational patterns, social conditions, even random chance. But even in those moments, you still have the power to respond. You can still choose what seeds you'll plant next. So if something painful shows up in your life, ask yourself, not why is this happening to me? But what can I do with this? That's the difference. That's karma, not as fear, but as freedom. Nothing lasts forever, and that might be the best news ever. Impermanence and acceptance. Everything changes. There's a truth in Buddhism that's simple, but not always easy to sit with. Everything changes. And I mean everything. That relationship you thought would last forever, that job you once loved, even the pain you feel right now, none of it stays. This idea is called anicca in Buddhist teachings, impermanence. And at first it might sound kind of depressing, because we want some things to last, don't we? We want the good times to stay. We want the people we love to never leave. We want certainty in a world that never stops shifting. But when we really understand impermanence, something strange happens. Instead of feeling hopeless, we actually start to feel free. Think about it. That heartbreak you thought you'd never recover from. It didn't last forever. The sadness, the ache, even if it left a scar, it eventually softened. And the good moments? You probably didn't even realize they were happening until they were gone. That quiet dinner with someone you love, that ordinary day when everything just felt okay. It all passes, not because life is cruel, but because life is moving constantly. Breath by breath, moment by moment. Buddhism teaches that suffering happens when we try to hold on to what's changing, when we cling tightly to what we want to keep or push away what we don't want to feel. But what if, instead of clinging or resisting, we just allowed? What if we let each experience come, stay for as long as it needs to, and then go without trying to force it? That's acceptance. Not giving up, not becoming numb, but gently saying, this too is part of it. Imagine how different life could feel if we stopped fighting the flow and started trusting it. If we remembered that no feeling, no situation is final. Everything is in motion, and that includes you. So the next time you're in pain, remember it won't last forever, and the next time you're at peace, savor it, because that won't last forever either. This isn't something to fear. It's something to live fully within, because impermanence doesn't just take, it also gives. It gives second chances, new beginnings, and the chance to grow into someone wiser than you were yesterday. Everything changes. That's not a curse. It's a beautiful truth. You're not your pain. Seriously. Sometimes when life hits hard, we start to believe that we are the problem. We carry the guilt, the shame, the heartbreak, and somewhere deep inside we begin to think, maybe this is just who I am. But Buddhism offers something that can shift that entirely. It's the teaching of anatta, or non-self. And no, it doesn't mean you don't exist. It doesn't mean you're some robot floating in space. It means you are not a fixed, permanent identity. Let that sink in for a second. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not the thoughts in your head or the labels the world has stuck on you. You are a process, a constantly evolving being, just like a flame flickering in the wind, always moving, never quite the same. Think about it, the version of you who made those mistakes 5 years ago, they're gone. The version of you who cried yourself to sleep a few months ago, also gone. And the person you're becoming, still unfolding, still in motion. When painful things happen, it's easy to let them define us. We start to believe that we are broken or cursed or not enough. But that's not the truth. That's just a story created in a moment of fear. Buddhism gently invites us to let go of that story, because when you stop clinging to an identity, even a painful one, you create space for freedom. Freedom to grow, freedom to change, freedom to not be who you used to be. You're not stuck. You are not the betrayal. You are not the failure. You are not the sadness that visits you in the dark. Those are experiences, but they are not you. You are the awareness that sees them. You are the space that holds them. You are the calm in the middle of all of it, even if you forget sometimes. And here's the beautiful part. If you're not fixed, if you're not just one thing, then you can always become something new. You can respond to life in ways you never have before. You can forgive yourself for what happened. You can let go of who you thought you were and meet who you are now. So when pain shows up, don't say, "This is who I am." Say, "This is something I'm experiencing." And just like a wave, it will rise, it will pass, and you will still be here breathing, becoming. Even the hardest moments, they can teach you something. Everything is a lesson, finding meaning in chaos. It's hard to see meaning when you're in the middle of the storm. When things fall apart, when you lose someone, when nothing goes the way you hoped, the idea that there's a lesson hiding somewhere in the chaos can feel impossible. But here's something I've learned, and what Buddhist wisdom reminds us again and again: every experience, no matter how painful, can be your teacher. Not because pain is noble, not because we should go looking for suffering, but because life is constantly offering us mirrors, and if we're willing to look, even the darkest moments can show us something about ourselves, the world, or what really matters. There's a powerful Buddhist story that captures this. A woman named Kisa Gotami lost her only child. She was heartbroken, desperate, and couldn't accept his death. She went from house to house, begging for a cure, some miracle to bring him back. Eventually she found the Buddha, and he told her, "Bring me a mustard seed from a house that has never known sorrow." She ran out in hope, but after visiting every home she could, she realized everyone had suffered, everyone had lost something. That realization didn't bring her son back, but it brought her understanding. She saw that she wasn't alone, and in that shared suffering, she began to heal. That's what life does sometimes. It breaks you, only to rebuild you with more wisdom. It strips things away, not to punish you, but to reveal who you are without all the noise. Now, this doesn't mean you have to like what happened, or pretend it was all part of some magical, perfect plan. It just means you can ask a different question. What is this here to teach me? Maybe a toxic relationship taught you self-respect. Maybe being rejected showed you where you weren't meant to be. Maybe loss reminded you to stop taking the small things for granted. You don't have to find the lesson right away. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes the meaning comes long after the moment has passed, but it does come if you're willing to listen. So the next time something painful crashes into your life, you don't need to fake a smile. You can cry, you can scream, you can grieve. But when the dust settles, ask yourself, what did this moment teach me about being alive? That question can turn wounds into wisdom. And here's something I'd love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, has something painful in your life eventually taught you something powerful? I read every response, and your story might help someone else feel a little less alone. All right, so how do we actually use this wisdom in real life? Okay, so we've talked about karma, impermanence, and how even the hardest moments can teach us something. But let's be honest, when life is actually falling apart, it's not always easy to sit down and say, ah yes, this suffering is a wonderful opportunity for growth. So let's bring this wisdom down to earth. What does it look like to actually live these teachings in real everyday life? First, it starts with awareness, not some mystical, floating on a cloud type of awareness, just paying attention. When something uncomfortable happens, a rude comment, a missed opportunity, an unexpected challenge, instead of spiraling into, why me? Pause, take a breath, and simply notice what's happening in your mind. Buddhist mindfulness is really just about noticing without judgment. This is sadness. This is frustration. This is my mind wanting to fix everything right now. That moment of awareness creates space, and in that space, you can choose how to respond instead of just reacting from habit. Next, compassion, not just toward others, but toward yourself. We're so quick to beat ourselves up when life feels messy. But Buddhism teaches us to meet our pain with the same kindness we'd offer a friend. If your best friend were going through heartbreak or loss, you wouldn't tell them to get over it or blame themselves. So why do that to yourself? Practice saying things like, it's okay to feel this. I'm doing the best I can right now. This moment is hard, and that's human. That's not weakness. That's strength. The kind that actually heals. Another helpful practice? Breath awareness. It sounds simple, and it is, but it's also incredibly powerful. When everything feels like too much, just pause and take one conscious breath. Inhale slowly, exhale gently. That breath won't solve your problems, but it will bring you back to this moment where peace is always waiting underneath the noise. And finally, intention. Start each day by asking yourself, what kind of seeds do I want to plant today? Is it patience, kindness, honesty? Let that guide your words, your tone, your energy. Remember, karma isn't about control, it's about direction. You can't always choose what happens to you, but you can choose the kind of energy you bring into the world. And that choice, practiced over time, changes everything. These practices don't require a temple or a retreat. You don't need robes or incense. You just need a moment of quiet and the willingness to meet life with presence. So try this today. Next time something small annoys you or stresses you out, pause, breathe, and ask, what would a wiser version of me do right now? That's how Buddhist wisdom becomes not just a philosophy, but a way of living. Let's wrap it up with something real. So what if everything really does happen for a reason? Not in the sense of fate or destiny or some grand hidden script, but in the sense that every moment holds something. If we're willing to see it, maybe the reason isn't written in the stars. Maybe it's written in your response. How you grow, what you learn, who you become because of it. Buddhism doesn't ask you to deny your pain. It asks you to sit with it, observe it, and gently ask, what is this here to teach me? And that kind of insight doesn't come from forcing meaning. It comes from creating space, through presence, through compassion, and through the quiet courage to keep showing up for yourself day by day. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're in motion just like everything else in this life. So let your story unfold without needing to have all the answers right now. Sometimes the reason something happened doesn't reveal itself until much later, but that's okay, because right now, in this moment, you have something powerful. You have the ability to choose presence, to choose peace, to choose a new direction. And if this video gave you even a little clarity, a little comfort, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss future content on Buddhist wisdom and mindful living. It really helps the channel and helps this message reach more people who might need it. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one experience that didn't make sense when it happened, but eventually taught you something meaningful? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, be kind to yourself and trust the process.